Welcome to the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. We love a good entrepreneur success story, and in Australia there are few stories as good as that of Janine Allis, the founder of Boost Juice. Inspired by a trip to the US, Janine opened her first Boost Juice just over 20 years ago. There are now hundreds of stores around the world, and it's not just Boost Juice. Janine is appearing today at the Make It Happen Summit in Sydney, and I thought it would be a good opportunity for a chat. Janine Allis, welcome to Fear and Greed.
Thanks for having me.
You are a serial entrepreneur, Janine.
I don't think I've ever seen myself as an entrepreneur, actually. I was just probably too busy at the start raising a family and doing a business to label myself anything, to be honest. And also, to be honest, entrepreneurs make horrible business people.
Right. Good point. You're supposed to build it and then sell it. Isn't that how it works?
No, entrepreneurs tend to get so excited about the product, they see another bright light and then they focus on that next bright light before they actually get their original business up and running.
Right. Okay. Now, look, I'm sure you're sick of telling the story of Boost, but it is a great story. Can you just one more time tell us about that trip to the US and why that made you think about opening a juice bar?
Look, it wasn't necessarily just opening a juice bar. It was a time when I was 32 years old. I'd had my third child, my third son. He was about 7 months old. And I decided that I didn't want to work for anyone again and I wanted to start my own business. And it was really with my husband, we sort of looked at a number of businesses and dabbled in a couple of them that didn't actually go very far or didn't do that well. That I was actually going with him. He was in radio. So we went over to America for a radio junket. And I saw the category over there that was smoothies and juices. But to be honest, I didn't really like their concepts. So I came back to Australia with zero business experience and wrote up a business plan I called it Boost Juice Bars, and off we went.
How hard was it to get going?
Look, do you know what? People think business is a really complicated thing, but I think they overcomplicate it. I think business is really simple. You find out what the customer wants and give it to them. And all I approached all the businesses I've ever done has been, how do I deliver on a promise to my customers, and how do I make sure every customer loves what we do and wants to keep coming back? And with that view, every decision I made in the business was based on what the customer needs. The amount of businesses I come across and they say, the customer comes second to a system that their business can do, or the point of sale can't actually do a certain thing, which would be better for the customer, but the customer has to suffer for a system of a business. So for me, it was all about if the customer has to rule in every element.
And marketing was a big thing for you too. I mean, you gave away a Boost Juice bar on Melbourne radio.
Yeah, correct. Look, marketing was everything. In actual fact, if you called our business, it's more of a marketing business than it was anything else. And it was approached in that way. It was always about driving sales, driving awareness, and people really understanding what the brand stood for. And I think that, quite often entrepreneurs, if we go back to that saying, they are people who understand what their product is and get very, very passionate about their product and brand. And that's definitely us. Luckily, we, particularly myself, I had a very mechanical brain that could put all the bits and pieces and all the nuts and bolts that makes a business under that vision and brand and passion that we had for delivering on our customers to make the business it is today.
Stay with me, Janine. We'll be back in a minute. I'm speaking to Boost Juice founder, entrepreneur, Janine Allis. So you certainly had a passion for it. How important is it to really want to do what you're doing? I mean, it's kind of self-evident question, I suppose. But can you go out and start something, even if you're not that interested in the product or the service?
Look, the reality is business is relentless. It is something that you have to think about 24/7. It's something you go to sleep with. It's something that you wake up in the morning with and something you dream about. So with that sort of obsessiveness that you have to make a business successful, if you don't like it, it's pretty miserable. So, there's, some kids out there that have gone into their family businesses because they had the expectation that, I would have to follow in my father or mother's footsteps and go into the family business, not because I loved it, because that was my expectation. And so I think that to make your life happy, and I think at the end of the day, business is one thing, but really to have a happy life, you've got to do things you love.
Yeah.
And if you are a budding musician that really all you want to do is write songs and play music, but yet your father has a paddle beating business that he thinks you should go into, I really think that you need to do what you love. And if you can combine both of them, wow, you've hit gold.
How did you manage it you said you had 3 kids. How did you manage that?
Yeah, badly sometimes. I sometimes look at my kids and wonder how the hell they survived and got to the age they did. Look, at the end of the day, there was times when I did everything badly. I was in business badly. I was a mother badly. I was running myself ragged. So, but it's, people sort of talk about life balance. At the end of the day, when you've got your own business, there's just life. There's no balance. It's just life. And in that bucket of life, there is getting kids to school. There is making sure you're paying wages and growing your business. There is making sure you feed yourself, making sure you're doing enough exercise, which I was poor at all of them. Look, there was no questions that parents hung out with me to feel good about their parenting. I was always the parent that, forgot their child's at school or took them to school and there was no school or the wrong uniform or, God. At the end of the day, I look at my 4 kids and we sit around the table and, we laugh and play games and I think, okay, there's a lot of things I've done wrong, but having where my kids are now, I must have done something right, or I was just lucky.
Yeah, I mean, parenting, there's no right or wrong in parenting. It's whatever's good for you, without a doubt. I remember once, many years ago, I was at BRW and I rang you to interview you for one of those lists they did, and you were in the playground with one of your kids. And you said, actually, now's a good time to talk because your child was off on a swing or doing whatever. It didn't want to have anything to do with you just for that 15 minutes. And I always thought, wow, that's a great use of time, really, as opposed to just sitting on the park bench watching your child thinking I should be doing something else.
Oh, no, I'm the queen of internal time. So
Right.
if I can multi-skill something, if I'm in a taxi, the first thing I say to them is, how long's a taxi? It's 20 minutes? Great. I'll get my laptop out. I've got 20 minutes worth of work.
Right.
There has been times when I've done things on the toilet, right? There is time. Trust me, if there's a time I can steal, I will steal that time, including kids. And look, in some respects, if I, hindsight, was I always present when, Oliver was telling me a story from school? Probably not in my head. But, at the end of the day, you're only doing what you can do at all times. And, you can sort of sit there and be guilty about all sorts of things you've done, but it's just such a waste of energy.
Your business, Retail Zoo, which is the parent company to some of your interests, such as Boost Juice, Bain is an owner of that as well. What's it like getting an outside investment firm in and working with them? Was that difficult?
Look, any partnership in any form, including a marriage, is not easy at different times. But I think if you've got mutual respect and a mutual goal, then it works. And I must admit, all the partners we've had in the whole journey of Boost, there's been many different partners that have come and gone in different stages of that 22-year journey. I must admit, I've always maintained great respect for my partners because at the end of the day, I wouldn't have made them a partner if I didn't believe they could add something to the business or had some skill. I mean, with Retail Zoo and Boost, we never saw it as something to, as I said to you before, with kids. I never went, right, I'm building this business to hand down to my son or my daughter.
Yeah.
I always built it to go, okay, I'm building it for myself and my husband. And then if the kids want to do it, then we can consider that. But that was never the goal.
Yeah.
So for me, getting in a private equity like Bain or Riverside early before them was always an ability for me to learn how to run a bigger business, because sometimes as an entrepreneur, it's hard to run businesses at different stages. I mean, right now, we have a management team run by CEO of business Shah Alani, who are doing an incredible job, in some respects, a better job than probably I could have done. And and I think that's what your goal is. Like a business is like a kid, when they're little, you have to, without your 100% focus, they die, right? And so as the kids get older, when they don't need you as much, really your goal is there to be there as a mentor, as a guide, and someone there for when they need you. And I think that it's really important as entrepreneurs and business owners that we constantly, every single day, are trying to do yourself out of a job and hiring better people, smarter and better than us.
Janine, I've got to ask, you've had a lot of success in TV, Shark Tank, I get that. Celebrity Apprentice, I get less. Survivor, I have no idea. You made it to day 44 on Survivor. Anyone who knows that show knows how tough that is. How'd you do it?
Look, when they asked me to do it, the first thing I thought was, oh my God, I'm going to say yes to this. And the reason I knew I'd say yes is that life's to be lived. I was never an entrepreneur, but an adventurer I was. At 21 years old, I put a backpack on my back and traveled around the world as a young girl who had no idea.
Yeah.
And so for me, I don't know how many lives I've got in this life. It depends on what you believe. But if I've only got one, I want to live it to the max. And if you have that view and someone says to you, hey, do you want to go and have an experience to really test yourself? And I've always been really sporty. I've played netball at a fairly high level, and I can pretty much turn most of my hand to most sport. So I felt like the physical aspect of it I would have been okay with, even the fact that I was probably one of the oldest people there. But really I found that I really relished in that experience, Not eating didn't bother me. Sleeping in the dirt didn't bother. Nothing really bothered me. It was just me going, okay, I'm on this experience. And at any point, I could turn to the producer and say, get me out of here. But that never was going to happen. But look, and I got an incredible friend out of it. Pia Miranda is still to this day, one of my best friends. And just that experience was actually quite incredible.
So what next?
What's next? I'm still trying to work out what I want to be when I grow up. It was just announced I've got a new TV show coming up next year with Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, fantastic.
Called Food Stars. So, and that will be a lot of fun. Look, I do TV, one, because it's such an adventure. It's a bit like Survivor. It's like something different, challenges me, puts me out of my comfort zone. And to be honest, it's just fun. You're creating something really cool. So that'll be fun. I'm actually heading to Europe for a few weeks with my daughter next year to have, again, going on a bit of an adventure. And then obviously business and, I'm involved with Sea Shepherd. I'm a massive lover of the ocean.
Yep.
And also I play a part with the UN for refugees, which is called UNHCR. I'm an ambassador for them, which, I'm passionate about and I love.
Always busy. Janine, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That was Janine Allis, entrepreneur and founder of Boost Juice. This is the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, Australia's most popular business podcast. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.